various ranking projects and highlighting the benefits institutions can take from playing an active role in the process. So just a couple of housekeeping points before we kick off. So throughout the session, you will be able to ask questions using the Q&A button in your Zoom toolbar. So please put any questions in the Q&A button, using the Q&A button specifically and not the comments button, and that just means our colleagues can answer your questions directly. Second of all, there will be a short survey which will pop up at the end of the webinar session. This is just a short feedback form. We'd really appreciate any thoughts you have about the webinar. These are obviously designed for you, so we want to make sure that in future sessions we can provide the information that is most useful, so any comments or feedback you have will be much appreciated. And with that, we can kick off. So first of all, just some introductions. So my name is Sam Duke. I'm a ranking specialist, part of the frameworks team here at QS, and we're responsible for designing, evolving and evaluating the methodologies around all of our rankings, both on the graduate management education side and the World University Rankings side. And I'm joined by my colleague Mustafa today, who I'll let introduce himself.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mustafa Mitashar. I'm the Business School Ranking Specialist. My job is to work with all institutions around the globe towards a successful ranking process, and this will be my fifth ranking cycle with QS. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Mustafa. And we've also got several of our colleagues, as mentioned, answering questions in the Q&A box. So any questions you've got as you're going along, hopefully they can help you with that. So just to start with, just to remind everyone of the QS mission statement, which you can see on the screen there. So our company is dedicated to empowering motivated people around the world to fulfill their potential by fostering international mobility, educational achievement and career development. And we know that this is a shared mission with educators and higher education staff across the globe, and has been at the heart of everything we do since the company was founded over 30 years ago. So next, just a reminder of what QS does. Obviously, rankings are what we're sort of best known for, but we do a variety of different things across our various departments, including events and consultancy, as well as working with various partners such as governments, employers, students, and obviously universities and business schools themselves. You can see in this graphic just some of the different sort of aspects of what we do. So everything from sustainability through reputation, through student recruitment and employability onto digital innovation and looking at data, AI and skills. So next we just want to remind you of the rankings that we have on the GME side of our offering. So as many of you may know, we basically split all of our ranking projects into two large groups. We have the World University Rankings, and then we have the GME Rankings, or Graduate Management Education. And what you can see on the screen here is the summary of the different projects that we have in this space. So our GME ranking suite looks at Masters of Business Administration, or MBA postgraduate programs focused on disciplines that teach key business practices, including accounting and finance, business analytics, management, marketing, and supply chain management, and others, among others. So choosing an MBA program is obviously a worthwhile investment that equips students with the essential skills for a global business landscape that continues to advance and evolve. And we have these 5 ranking programs that cover this area. So Global MBA is very much our flagship ranking, which looks at full-time MBA programs from the top business schools around the world. We then have the Executive MBA rankings, which look at programs designed for students who are already pursuing a business career and want to combine full-time work with education. We have the Online MBA rankings, which highlight the best online distance learning MBA programs across the globe. And these are programs that are designed to give students the flexibility to complete the course around other aspects of their lives. We have the Business Rankings, which is essentially a group of rankings under one business title. So these include 5 distinct areas: business analytics, finance, management, marketing, and supply chain management. And these are really sort of programs that are looking at specific aspects of the business environment. So courses that are focused in something that are a bit more specialized than you would find in global MBA. And finally, we have International Trade, which is a first of its kind project that we run in partnership with the Heinrich Foundation. and it's designed to recognize institutions who are providing best-in-class master's level education specifically focused on the international trade environment. So next we just want to remind everyone of the calendar. So you can see the different projects here and their release dates. So the ranking cycle typically runs from September through to the following April. So it starts with Global MBA and then finishes up with the Executive MBA and Online MBA rankings. Um, and you can see how these different projects fall throughout the year. Global MBA and Business Masters come out at the same time in September, and then we have International Trade in October. And just to note that the ranking year is always, or typically is a year ahead of the actual calendar year. So for the upcoming cycle, we're looking at 2027, even though obviously we're only just starting in 2026. So next, just a few notes as to why it's valuable and an important exercise to take part in the rankings. So first of all, we always put up this graphic just as a reminder. So institutions can take part in our ranking process by engaging with the data collection process. And this is the best way to ensure that the most accurate data is being used in the rankings. There are several benefits to taking part, which we've highlighted on the screen. So first of all, benchmarking. Rankings are a great way to quickly compare overall performance or performance in certain areas to those institutions that are considered peers at a domestic, regional or global level. Learning. Rankings allowed users to identify institutions performing well in specific areas, providing best-in-class examples for strategic planning. And then planning itself, rankings shouldn't dictate strategy, as we always say, but they can be used as a guide to areas that institutions can focus on to improve performance. When it comes to marketing, institutions can highlight their ranking achievements to students with our range of unique and secure digital badges and certificates. Rankings are a great way to tell your story in another way. And finally, but certainly not least, celebrate. So being ranked in by QS is an achievement. We don't rank every institution and every program going. So those who do make the cut in any of our rankings can consider themselves amongst the highest performing institutions in the world. And it's always worth taking a step back and just reflecting on what you've achieved if you do make it into a ranking and taking a moment to celebrate with your teams. So next, just a note about the assets that we provide to all ranked institutions. So fact files, these come out before the ranking and contain basically all the key data that goes into the ranking position about the institution itself. So these are issued, as mentioned, ahead of ranking launches and allow you to just sort of double check that all the data is accurate. We also provide digital badges, which are protected by blockchain, allowing you to share and embed your credentials across your platforms easily. And all ranked institutions also receive digital certificates, which can be used both digitally and printed out. And this is another way of promoting your ranking achievements. So next, just a note on QS's standing in the higher education space. So we are the most trusted brand in higher education. So students, institutions, governments and employers use our rankings to analyze and compare the performance of universities and business schools globally. And this slide shows that QS is the most searched and sought after organization for higher education and comparative insights and guidance, according to Google Trends, between March 2020 and March 2025. So where you see the big spikes in this graph here are really when we launch the rankings. So the largest ones are typically around the World University Rankings, but there are also sort of spikes whenever we launch any of our ranking projects where we get a lot of attention. And you can see how across this whole period we're tracking ahead of some of our main peers in the market. And finally, in this space, we just wanted to highlight also some statistics from the GMAC Prospective Student Survey in 2025. So this is from the Graduate Management Admission Council and sort of shows where QS GME rankings rank in terms of student decision making. So this really underscores the prominence of QS rankings and why business schools across the globe need to prioritize them in the communication strategy. So you can see here QS GME rankings are the top user rankings by candidates around the world, occupying the number 1 or number 2 position in 12 of the 15 countries highlighted, including a number 1 ranking in 8 of those countries. So next we're going to have a note about MyQS, which is our, well, not quite so new now. It's been around for a couple of years, but our relatively new digital platform. So for anyone who's not aware of this, MyQS is a free platform which allows you to better understand your ranking performance. So the platform transforms ranking fact files from PDFs into interactive visuals, simplifying performance tracking, enabling easy sharing, exporting, and presentation of insights. And you can find all of your ranking assets, such as fact files, badges, and certificates in one place. So the real benefit of MyQS is it gets us out of the cycle of sending constant emails with fact files and assets to institutions, which can be perhaps mislaid or sent to the wrong person. With the MyQS platform, all members of your team that you grant access to can go onto the platform. They can see your performance. They can download the assets. And at some point in the future cycles, we will also be potentially transitioning data submission into this platform as well. So basically everything related to your rankings can be done in one place. So just to give you a sort of a sense of what this looks like, so obviously we've grayed out some of the key points here, but you can see how the graphs look. So basically you can see all your rankings in one place, and you can see your ranking performance over time. And you can also take a deeper dive into individual indicators in the platform as well and see various other infographics related to your performance. As mentioned, you can also get access to all your assets here. So particularly if you are a large institution who's ranked in a number of different places and you have a lot of badges and certificates to manage, this is a really useful platform for getting access to all of that stuff in one place. It means you don't have to, again, rely on receiving an email from us to get your various assets. So if you haven't signed up yet, there's a QR code on the screen, and also we've included the web address. We will be sharing these slides after the presentation, so if you don't have time to sort of check this now, you will be able to look at it later, but we would strongly encourage everyone to sign up. It's a really useful platform. As we say, it makes the whole process a lot easier. And as we say, in future cycles, we are looking to move data submission into this platform as well, just to streamline the whole process. So really, the sooner that you can sign up, the more beneficial it will be. So next we're going to move on to data submission, and for this section I'm going to hand over to Mustafa to take us through this.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that. Next slide. Yeah. So data submissions, the way GME rankings work is based on two sets of indicators. The institutional data, and that's the data we gather via our applications, and we will run through them in a minute. And that's when we will be asking about specific data related to the program that is under consideration for ranking. Information about the staff, about the faculty, the students and class profile, and tuition and employment. But we will also we will run our employer and academic surveys aligned with the institutional data. And that's when we encourage institutions to submit their academic and employer contacts to us, and then these contacts will be invited to submit their nominations in our reputation surveys. So the dates, and I have seen on the Q&A portion of the chat, there are a number of questions about the dates. So for the 2027 ranking cycle, all applications are currently open on our Business School Move-In data collection portal. The deadlines are for the Business Masters and Global MBA. They are open now, and the deadline is on the 15th of May. Currently, we have Executive MBA 2026 that just closed on Friday last week. For Executive MBA 2027 and Online MBA 2027, we are due to open the applications around September or early October 2026. The deadline will be mid-January to end January in 2027. And we will be due to publish these two rankings in April 2027. Business Masters and Global MBA, we are due to publish in September this year. For the survey contacts, the contact submissions are currently open and they will close this Friday on the 30th of January. So if you haven't already submitted your contacts, please make sure you submit before Friday. The survey itself will start shortly after, around I can't exactly tell you the date, but it will start around February and it will remain open for a period of 6 weeks. And that's when we will be collecting the nominations. Next slide, please. So it is important to submit data for us. Not submitting data does not mean that the institution will not be ranked, but it's important that every institution make sure that they submitted data, because that means you will be in charge and you will be aware of the data that are being used. You will and the accuracy of that data. You will also be able to make sure that your source you can source your academic and employer nominations by submitting contacts that you're aware that they think highly of your institution. You will also be receiving updates from us in terms of deadlines, publication dates, any related communications, and of course it will help everyone with the data footprint for a greater analysis, which can help us also update the indicators and the methodologies moving forward. So the platform that we use is called Business School Move-In. This is the link for it, bschools.gomovin.com. It's a platform that's dedicated for the GME rankings for all the business schools. It's where you can submit your institutional data and upload your contacts, and we will have a demo on how to do that very, very shortly. So what you need to do is, if you don't already have your login details, is you need to create an account on this website. What you will need is an email, and that should be a work email, and a password of your choice, and your school ID. If you don't know your school ID, please email us at rankings@qs.com or use the support page, and we will send you your ID shortly. At the same time, you can put your school's name as an ID, and then we will edit that. On the once your registration is complete. But please always ask for your school ID. Once you log in, once you register, you will see multiple options, but what you need to do is you can choose the dashboard. Then you will see two sets of options, the latest ranking cycle, so that will be 2027 and 2026. 2026 will show you your previous data submissions, and if you haven't submitted, then you will not see that option. But what you need to click on is the latest academic year, which is 2027 ranking year. And once you do that, you will be able to see the applications based on the definitions that we have. So you will see global MBA, you will see executive MBA, masters in finance, for example, and so on. This is how, once you click on the dashboard, this is what you will see. You will see on the left side the sections that you need to complete. And once every section is successfully complete, it will turn into a green check. If any missing data, that will not happen, you will get a cross. That means you need to go back and fully answer all the questions. Otherwise, your application will not be submitted successfully. The data that we will be, the institutional data that we will be looking for in terms of ranking indicators are these four main categories: tuition, faculty, class profile, and employment outcome. Tuition is tuition and scholarships. Faculty will be asking about the faculty uh, diversity and the full-time versus part-time. Same applies to class profile and employment income. We will be asking a number of questions about the progress, the employment progress of your graduates. These are the questions that you will see under tuition. We will be asking about national or in-state tuition. The currency we will be using is the US dollars. So if you need to do a currency exchange, please use xe.com, and the date that we need you to use will be 1st of January 2025. We will also ask about international tuition. Some countries will have exactly the same tuition for national and international, but if you don't, please put them as they are. This is a new question we're asking. Question number 3 is what is the mean average tuition paid? And that will include a mean average of your national tuition, international tuition based on the ratio of students, as well as if there were any scholarships or discounts or any arrangements that has been agreed by your admission team. Final question is a yes and no question. Does this program offer scholarship or not? Faculty questions, this is also an update to what we used to ask. So there will be a table. This table needs to be, please make sure you answer. If you don't have, for example, if you don't have part-time faculty, please put a 0, don't leave it empty. We will ask about full-time, part-time, full-time equivalent, and headcount. I will explain what each means in a minute. And we will also be asking about the total number of faculty, the number of international faculty. We'll be also asking about the number of faculty with PhD. It's not specifically international. I will make sure that I will fix this typo. Also, we will be asking about the gender ratio of the faculty, which are how many are male, how many are female, and if there are any other genders. So what is full-time equivalent faculty? As you see in the definition, it's the total number of full-time personnel, and it would take, it's the full-time personnel that are doing their duties, their teaching duties close to full, sorry, I'm reading this wrong. It is the total number of full-time personnel it would take to meet commitments met by both full-time and part-time. So there is an equation, as you can see here, that we would like to suggest if your institution never calculated the full-time equivalent faculty, but if you already have that according to your own standards, please submit that data. And if your faculty does not have any part-time, then the full-time faculty should be equal to the headcount faculty. Apologies about the mishap. And finally, we will be the questions related to employment outcome, and these questions are related one to the other. So please, once you answer them in sequence, because it will help. So we will be asking about the total number of graduates. I'm sorry. This is the class profile questions. We will be asking the total number of students started in the last academic year. So that will be started in the 2025. Then we will be asking how many applications have been submitted to this program, and please include all submitted applications, especially the ones that did not make it, or even if the applications were missing certain key requirements, please include them in this answer. Then we will be asking how many are enrolled full-time versus part-time, how many are males versus females, also full-time versus part-time, how many of your students are international students, how many nationalities represented, and we will be asking about the average work experience prior to joining the program. And the final set of data is the employment outcome, and this is important to answer in sequence. So we will be asking about the mean salary prior to joining your program, and then the salary after graduation, 3 or 6 months. For business masters, many of the students, the vast majority of the students, they wouldn't have a job prior to joining that program. So for the mean previous salary, please put a 0. Then we will be asking a certain numbers of questions about the graduation and the employment rate. And these questions will be how many graduated between 2023 and 2024. They will be how many graduated between 2024 and June 2025. Then how many of those have submitted usable information data to yourselves? Then out of those who submitted these informations, how many were seeking employment? When you answer that question, please do not include any of your graduates who already employed. This is specifically for those who are seeking employment. Then out of those who reported they were seeking employment, how many of them accepted a job offer by 6 months? Then we will ask how many started their own business, then how many are already company sponsored or employed, and the final one is how many decided not to seek employment. Thank you. Finally, quickly, I would like to discuss the sustainability part of the questions that we will be asking. The sustainability is not yet an indicator, and it has 0 effect on the ranking score, but we are in consideration to introduce a sustainability indicator in the future years. So we kindly ask you to give us the answers to these questions, so we can calculate the methodology and update it accordingly. And the sustainability questions are divided into these 4 categories: equality, diversity, and inclusion, and that presents the makeup of equality, diversity, and inclusion policy. Ethic cultures, so that will be including the Office for Compliance and Strategy and the strategy document. Curriculum, and that will be any curriculum related to data, social, governance topics. And finally, equality, and that will be regarding your senior leadership team.
Thank you, Mustafa. So the second part of the data submission process is around reputation, and we run reputation surveys to gather this information. So hopefully many people on the call will be familiar with these, but the academic and employer surveys inform the academic and employer reputation indicators that fall within pretty much all of the rankings that we do. So we invite academics and employers from across the globe to participate and share their opinions on a global basis. And you can see some of the numbers there for the nominations we received in the period 2021 through to 2025. So first of all, it's worth just reminding ourselves why we actually measure reputation in the first place. So the most important thing is that it is an important factor that students consider when choosing a study destination, and we'll show you some stats that back that up. Name recognition, whether university is recognised more broadly as a good place to study by parents, peers and others, has an impact on decision making. So if a university has a long-standing reputation in certain academic disciplines, that will be a factor that students can draw upon when making their decision. As with all indicators, reputation is just one part of the decision-making process, but it is an important one. Um, Reputation is also a good measure of the institution's wider impact, so whether that be in research, in the world of work, or in society. And for those outside of academia, a university's reputation is built on their exposure to an institution's work, whether it be through groundbreaking research, community outreach, or positive interactions with its alumni. And as we've mentioned at QS, we measure reputation in two ways: by getting the views of academics and also employers through our annual surveys. So just to reinforce the point about the importance of reputation to students, these are some stats from our recent international student survey. And you can see how highly reputation comes both for specific subjects and overall for the institution. So 70% of those who took part in the survey cite either subject reputation or overall reputation as a priority when choosing a university. So not something to be taken lightly. And relationships build reputation. So I think the most important thing here is that survey responses should reflect the work that you're already doing and the positive relationships that you built. So these relationships with academics and institutions will ultimately be reflected in your reputation. Surveys and indicators that data producers should reflect the good work you're doing and not be seen as an isolated exercise in and of themselves. And your survey context, as we said, should reflect the relationships that your institution has built. So if you put time into developing and maintaining those relationships, then reputation will follow. And maintaining relationships obviously should be a year-round key goal for your institution and not linked solely to the surveys that we or other companies may run. So getting down to the practical points of where you can actually submit data. So Mustafa showed us earlier on how what the sort of QS Move-In platform looks like and how to log in. So again, we have a similar sort of process here where in terms of submitting contact data. So once again, if you go to the dashboard in the menu, click Show Details under the latest research year, which as mentioned is 2027, and then click the relevant survey project. And what you should see is a screen that looks a bit like this. Here's for the Employee Reputation Survey. And you can see we ask for a few basic details, and then you can upload your contacts into the system. So on the screen now is just the basic information that we ask about for each contact that you submit. So title, first name, last name, and all the personal information. If someone doesn't have a title, or if you're not sure about the title, you can leave that blank. It's not a terribly important field. But first name and last name, splitting those two fields is obviously critical, so we can address them in the right way. Contact information, email, telephone, and location. And so with the email in particular, and we'll come back to this again, but please make sure that the email is written using the English and doesn't have any spaces or other odd characters in it. We can fix email addresses that are broken or that don't go into the system, but obviously it speeds up the whole process if the email address entered is accurate. And finally, professional info, so who the contact actually is, their job title, their organization and department. And in terms of also the sort of professional credentials, another thing about emails, wherever possible, please include a corporate email address or like an organization, I should say, email address rather than a personal one. This does help the process and just means that certain survey responses are less likely to be screened out or come into other difficulties. So in terms of the contact lists themselves, it's limited to 400 contacts per survey. We would advise you to use the predefined CSV templates that you can find on our support pages, support.qs.com. As mentioned, submitted English email addresses must be used English characters only. And this is probably the most important point. You must seek your contact's consent using the consent email templates that you can find again on our support pages. This is important for a variety of reasons. Obviously, if someone is told they're being taken part in the survey, they're likely to be aware of it. They're much more likely to actually take part or give their agreement. But also, it's a matter of data privacy as well. You must have consent before sending their details on to us. Otherwise, there's all sort of issues that can arise from that. So please make sure that you seek your contact's consent, and please use the templates that we provide again on the support pages just to make sure that you're not infringing our guidelines when it comes to things like potentially coaching context. If you stick to the email templates, you should be fine. The alternative we have to the list is something with what the survey sign-up facility. So this basically allows individuals to basically sign themselves up to the survey. Once again, this is also capped at 400, and the way that it works with the sign-up facility is that once the 350 contacts have signed up, we will send you a notification and ask you to stop encouraging people to sign up to the facility. That's just to make sure that you don't go over that 400 mark. If there's more than 400 people that do sign up to the facility, only the first 400 will be taken into account. So we will send you a notification just so people can't get to the facility and then not able to sign up. Next, just a note on communications. So again, just to sort of reinforce the point, for data protection reasons and just good courtesy really, you must seek consent from potential respondents using our official email template. In terms of the emails that we send, so we send out invitations for participation between February and March, as Mustafa mentioned earlier, and each contact receives a maximum of 3 emails from rankings@qs.com. So in terms of best practices, as we said before, please, wherever possible, please include a professional email as opposed to Gmail, Outlook, or other sort of similar things. This is not only does it help us with our sort of actually getting in contact with them in the first place, because we are less likely to get bounce backs from professional email addresses, but also it helps with our data validation process. So when the nominations come in, we have a sort of a rigorous data cleaning and validation process. Some of it is automated, and if we see a lot of responses coming from, say, a Gmail account for the same institution, there's a chance that they can be removed from the survey results. So if you have professional email addresses, that's the best way to ensure that doesn't happen, and it's just good practice in general. Please ensure there are no typos in the email addresses. It seems like an obvious thing, but it's very easy for anyone to do that. So please just go back and check that the email addresses are correct. If they're not, then they'll bounce back, and then there's the chance that the respondent won't be able to complete the survey. The other thing to check for is just like spaces and odd characters. It's very easy, particularly if you've got a list, to leave a stray comma at the end of an email address, leave an accidental space somewhere in there. And again, that will cause things to bounce. I mean, we have to go back and check the lists and make sure the email addresses are correct. So please go through and double check the email addresses are correct when you put them in. And the other thing you can do is just ask all your contacts to whitelist rankings@qs.com. So what this does is, particularly for a lot of the large organizations, they will have firewalls, they will have other things stopping emails coming through. So if your contacts can basically say that rankings@qs.com is a safe address, then those emails should come through without being caught up in, again, firewalls, spam filters, and the like. So finally, we just included a few useful hyperlinks here at the end. Again, we will be sending these slides around, so you can look through this at your leisure, but the key sites really are support.qs.com. As you can see, a number of these hyperlinks start with that, and you can find information about how to submit data, about all of the different projects that we run, about the indicators that we use in the projects, both for the GME side and the World University Ranking side on those pages. All the information that I've been giving about the surveys and the contacts can also be found there along with the templates. And the other key thing is obviously the move-in site, and we've given you the address for that already. But there's also a page on support.qs.com which runs you through the whole process of submitting data through move-in. So if you need to remind yourself of that, you can find the data submission guidelines there as well. So to finish up today, we're just going to quickly run through a few ways you can stay connected with us here at QS. So first of all, obviously we have our main sites. So there's the overall qs.com site where you can find information about everything we do, including events, consultancy, analytics, student recruitment, all the different services that QS has. Topuniversities.com and topmba.com are where you can actually find the rankings results for the respective projects. And obviously around each ranking launch, we put out a variety of content across our channels. These include articles, social media articles, and so forth. So we also do launch webinars. So it's always worth keeping an eye out for them. We also do webinars on other subjects as well. So again, we have data submission webinars for obviously GME and for the World University Rankings. We also do webinars about other subjects as well. So, for example, the importance of reputation and things like sustainability. And if you want to follow us on LinkedIn, so obviously there's the QS page itself and the number of sort of connected pages to that. But you can also follow the frameworks team, so both myself and my colleague Wesley Siqueira, and we often put out posts about the rankings and putting them into broader context, so how they link with policy or interesting pieces of analysis from each ranking release. This is just a reminder of the event calendar for this upcoming year. So I won't go through all of these, but you can see that we have a number of different events. The most prominent being our summits, which we run in a variety of regions across the globe. So we have India, we have China, we have the Middle East, we have Europe, Africa, the Americas, and Asia. We also do forums, which are slightly more focused events. So you can see, for example, we have the Arab Forum and then the Eurasia Forum. And we also have a number of different events that have a sort of slightly broader scope. So, for example, we have the EduData Summit coming up in June. We have the Reimagine Education Conference and Awards in December. And in connection with the new QS platform, Holon IQ, we have the Back to School Summit in September in New York. And there's also Global Skills Week, which is coming up in March in Washington, DC. So if you want any information about those, you can visit qs.com or again, scan the QR code that we've included here. And finally, just a note on QS Insights magazine. So if you are interested in obviously the higher education landscape more generally, away from rankings and things like this, then QS Insights magazine and also the midweek brief, the attached newsletter, is a great way to stay up to date with all the latest developments across the higher education spectrum. The magazine is always full of fascinating articles looking at everything from higher education strategy through the future of research through to sort of student opinions and student thinking. I mean, it's there's every week there is something that is interesting and fascinating, and I work in the sector and I'm always finding new things that I learn from it. So it's well worth signing up if you haven't already. And that is the end of the presentation for today. So thank you everyone for attending. We hope you found that useful. Just as a reminder, there will be a survey that will pop up when we finish the webinar. So if there's anything that you think that you'd like to see in future sessions, anything that we haven't covered today, then please let us know through that. Um, Otherwise, hopefully we've answered most of your questions in the chat. If we haven't, we'll take some of those away and try to get back to you with any answers. But a lot of the information, or the vast majority of the information we've provided you today, you can find at support.qs.com. So please use that as a resource if you have any questions as well, or as you say, please send us a message. So thank you very much for attending. That is the end of the session today. And we look forward to engaging with you more as the cycle continues, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.